Welcome everyone. Welcome Alison. Hope you had a good day so far. So here I am. Start off with some Matthias Gaming, but thanks for the fish. We have some nice fish advertisement here in chat. I'm not a fish hater, just want to get that clear in the beginning already. It's not true, it's not the case. And yeah, like I said, I hope you all had a nice day so far. Let's have a nice stream together. It's actually crazy. I remembered that I have to go to the new map as well. So I will do that this stream just to go back to do some achievements, because I have not completed yet the, what's it called? From the new map, the achievement that gives you the hard one. Yeah, this one. I still need 5 days to get the Mistborn Baron's Renowned Hard Mastery. And it's actually insane to me, because that means that I've been there 9 days to get the quests. And that's it. I was not there anymore. And I really hope that the Legendary Back Pass brings people back to the old map, so, or to the new map, so to say, that we get there. I think it's actually crazy. Yeah, I will add that song if it is not licensed, or if it has a license that I can use. Then I will add that as an alert for channel points. That's true. I will do that, Roaming Spirit, but I haven't checked it yet. I'm currently quite busy. I have a lot of stuff on my mind. But when I find the time, I will do that. That's a good idea. Yeah. Welcome, Filthy. Welcome. Really, I mean, that doesn't mean that there's no license, you know. Even if there is some kind of AI, sometimes it's actually still licensed. Yeah. See you later, Malison. See you later. Yeah, so we play some Matthias with a power alacrity chrono rather. So let's see how that goes. Oh, get well soon, Filthy. Get well soon. That's not nice. I mean, happens, and I guess that's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm happy when you're there. It's fine if you have to leave. So here for this boss, I'm really scared if I don't run Reflect, because if I don't take my feedback here, I think it's quite likely that my dedicated feedback provider or Reflect provider here is failing and I don't have it and I can't back up. But yeah, I guess they have sorted it out. Maybe, let's see. Welcome, Beaver, welcome. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to swap places. I can tell you that much. I think that's not a very nice thing to have. So, I don't know, stability really? I just take the feedback. And maybe stability. Yeah, I mean, if you have, if you have the missing the thing that you can digest the milk stuff, then it's a problem. I see that, but I think Filthy has a disease probably for a few days. That's more likely, because if he has some problem with milk, he would probably not drink it. That's my. Yeah, exactly. Lactose, yes. I think most of Europe population actually doesn't have the problem. I think in Asia it's way more common. I think in Asia almost everyone has it, this problem. So at least the adult in early days when you are a child, then you actually don't have the problem, but it goes away. So you get the problem. So you miss the, I think it's an enzyme. You miss it after a few years. That's actually really crazy. But I guess in Europe, we are actually mostly happy if you are not affected at least. Okay. So what do we have here? Good food, very nice. So the challenge for this boss will be, I'm a power DPS build. Can I not kill the sacrifice? That's the big question here. Yeah, I think that's was a very interesting fact that I read about recently. That if you have some kind of mental stress, mental illness, that it really easily affects your guts and your just digestion system. It's really interesting. So if you just, I don't know, if you're just very stressed out, then it's very likely that your body is not happy about it either. Makes sense, I guess. Yeah. Okay, we have the feedback actually correct going. I like it, I like it. But we don't have any quickness. That's there we go. We have some quickness now. We get the first sacrifice already. Okay, went very well, I have to be honest. So far so good. This is really power crap, this boss, sadly. It's one of my favorite raid bosses actually. Has a really cool design, I think. Yeah, I got the feedback, don't worry. Because the other person was sleeping that actually supposed to do the feedback. It's fine. That's why we take 2 of those. Okay, we had stability. Oof. That was big. How many people died to that? And why did I not die even though I stood almost in 2 of those? It's actually crazy. Okay, feedback. Nice, we got it. So maybe we don't get a sacrifice anymore. Let's see. Yes, we skipped the last sacrifice. Very good. I mean, so far so good. I mean, for a pack group, that's actually quite a nice DPS amount, I have to admit. And dodge this attack. Be careful with the spirit running through. Yeah, I really like that boss design. Even with the power creep, it's still very, I think, a lot of dynamics going on. It's not like you really have to do all the mechanics. It's more like you have to kill the boss and avoid its attacks while still dealing decent amount of damage, you know. I really like that boss. I think it's a really good designed boss. Okay, 16% to go. I think that's an easy kill and no one died. Kappa. I think my boon uptime was also good. I think I'm happy with that one. For boon DPS, decent job. So who would dodges on me? No one. Very good. And we killed it. Very good. Oh, my green screen is really bad right now. 1 second, let me fix that. It's just too bright. The sun is shining directly behind my green screen. It's really hard to fix that actually. Give me a second. Oh, I'm a ghost now. It's also not better. I guess I have to leave it for now for like that. Sorry, it's too bright. I can't change it, sadly. I guess better to see me like this than being a ghost. Yeah, I don't want to ghost anyone. I don't want to haunt you. Don't worry. No, nice. I actually got a new skin. Insane. It's actually not very likely that I actually get a new skin. It's not very often the case. Don't have that many left. Very good. I like it. So let's see what else we can do. I wanted to go to the new map. That's what I wanted to do. And I also wanted to check out the dungeon thingy because we have a new dungeon week going on this week. So we have more things to get dungeon stuff going. So we get the dungeon rush thing. And if you need more of those dungeon tokens, so Tales of Dungeon Delving, we actually get quite a lot of them just by doing some dungeons, or at least doing some achievements related to dungeons. Even Dragon Response is actually in here. So be sure to check that out. I think dungeons are quite fun. I made a video about it. If you do them quite fast, they're actually very profitable as well. But they are very outdated. So it's like you skip everything, the bosses die in one hit, and it's still quite buggy, but it's quite fun. Yeah. So where is this guy? Here. There we go. It's the first one. I guess maybe someone does some, because if they do, maybe I can join in. Let's see. Welcome, Gail. Welcome, welcome. Actually, not a lot of stuff going on, sadly. Even when the dungeon rush event is happening, no one plays dungeons. That's the sad truth. Very sad. Good builds for soloing dungeons. The sad truth here is you just play a raiding build. So a classical instance content DPS build. And you try to play a quickness DPS build or something like that. And you just adjust your utility skills. So for example, this Chronomancer build is actually quite decent. For example, you would just use the typical dungeon full DPS build that you use in a normal scenario. Go for quickness, maybe go for full DPS, whatever you like. But go for a raid build and you just know how to deal with the boss mechanics. So typically you just kill a boss faster than you die. Or you just, for example, take a reflect to deal with half of the mechanics and stuff. So that's the sad truth, you know. The soloing dungeons nowadays, you just play a really, really broken DPS build that you would use for raiding, for strike missions, and you will be fine because they are just so outdated. Yeah. Yeah, the sad part is no one is doing the dungeons. I think the dungeons in Guild Wars 2, I think they are very outdated. That much is objectively true, you know. They did not get updated for, I think, 10 years, something like that. So, yeah, that's not really insane, yeah. But I feel like it's still very fun. I think you can get quite a lot of gold, and if you do them fast, you can do them really, really fast. I just wanted to say that, really, really fast. Because I think they had a new world record for Kaudeko's Manor Path 1. I think it's 1 minute and 30 seconds for one pass. No, the rewards are actually not bad. The rewards are better than Fractals, but you have to do it fast. That's objectively true. I did a dungeon tour with some really good guys. Maybe I have to upload it on YouTube, you know. I think we did all dungeon paths here in 50 minutes. So we got around, I think we got around 60 gold or something in 50 minutes. So that's better than Fractals. Just straight up, it's better. Just wanted to say that. Yeah, welcome, Kosek, welcome. Yeah, so like I said, of course you can, because they are so outdated, you can play everything. So if you're playing a full strong solo build, like I post for the hero points for open world boss and that stuff, yes, that's definitely doable. Yeah, then you will easily do it. You can probably go AFK half of the time. Yeah, that's true. but it's not the most, so to say, you don't need that. It's a little bit of an overkill, yeah? Going for something that is so sustainy, so tanky, so much defense in the kit, it's not necessary because the bosses just die too fast. It's not like a typical, let's say, bounty or something where you have just so much HP on the boss that you take forever to kill it and you have to sustain. No, in a dungeon boss, you actually, even if you're solo, you can kill the boss in, let's say, 30, no, not even 30 seconds or something. And that's just very, very low amount, yeah. You will see that when we are here with 5 people now. We are downscaled. This is I think 30. You can check. I think it's 35. Yeah. So we have 35 of our level now, and the boss will die in a second if we have decent DPS. It's actually completely insane. It's really, really crazy. So it's just completely power crept, and that's why I would not recommend a full-fledged solo build, because it's not necessary. It's just an overkill, and you will probably take longer if you take this one, yeah. Exactly, it's way more important to know the mechanics. Dungeons are like consisting of 3 things. So really, you can simplify a dungeon, every single dungeon parts, to 3 things. The first one being the fight. Just there are multiple bosses or mobs that you have to kill. That's the first thing, yeah. But, and that's the crazy part, it's most likely only, let's say, 10% of the dungeon or something is the fighting. Yeah, only 10% of all the dungeon parts. Then the second really important part is how to deal with the mechanics. So for example, now we have to kill the spiders to spawn the next boss. If you don't know that, you might be stuck here. If you don't know that you can reflect all of those projectiles here, and you will just have a harder time than if you, for example, take feedback on the next boss. We will see it, the spider queen that spawns here. We will actually be, it will be really, really easy, yeah? We will see that in a second. And if you know the mechanics, these fights will be completely, really, really fast, yeah? So that's the first part. So just know the mechanics, know how to skip, for example, which parts of stuff you have to take. So which part of mechanics you have to engage with, which parts you can just completely ignore, which parts is just unnecessary. And for example, there is these guys here spawning. Then we have the how is it called? The troll here spawning. You can also skip the troll here that comes out of the wall sometimes. It depends. Sometimes it's on the other side. This troll you can also ignore. You can also ignore this guy in the middle here. So the dungeons are it's not very linear. You don't have to kill Lieutenant Kohler. You don't have to. You can just ignore it completely. Yeah, it's actually crazy. Sadly, we have to go to this lower path here, so we can just completely skip this guy and go downstairs here. I don't know if my group knows that. I guess they don't, so I have to help them. I guess it's fine. But you can skip this guy. Yeah, it's fine. Doesn't matter too much. Yeah, doesn't matter. And then we come to the next mechanic. So this is again something that you have to be aware of. How to deal with this mechanics. Now we have to kill those things, those burrows, how is it called? Just those gravelings or something that they spawn, and they spawn in specific locations. If you know them, you can just easily one-shot them, go to the next one. I think there are 5. You have to, or 8 or something, and you have to kill them. That's really easy. Just spread across the room. But that's the thing about mechanics. You have to know the mechanics, what you can actually do, what you can't do. But the most important thing, what people don't understand, is that 80% of the dungeon is actually skippable. You know, you can just ignore the stuff, the mobs, whatever you have here. You can just ignore them and just go to the next objectives that you really have to do. You run through them and just deal with only the things that you really have to deal with. If you do that, you will be completely fine, and you will be way faster than if you would do something else and would kill every mob in the dungeon. And that's why dungeons are so specific and really unique in that way, because not a lot of people actually play the Guild Wars 2 like that. In Fractals, you typically just kill everything that comes into your way, and then you go to the boss, and that's it. In dungeons, you do completely the opposite. You ignore everything that comes into your way and only kill the end boss. That's the only thing that you do in dungeons. Now we have to go up there. I think I can teleport up there. Let me go. Can teleport up there, I think. Where is it? Somewhere I can teleport. There is a teleport area. Yeah, maybe this one. So to skip this, we just have to interact with this one, and then we can go to the next area. Can teleport back to the boss here. And go up here. And just ignore all this stuff. I have some stealth in my kit as well. Oh no, we have to... This is not the... It's been such a long time since I did it last time. It's crazy. Yeah, of course, if you do it with randoms, it's a completely different experience. Of course, I'm talking about doing it with an experienced group, then it's way faster. But of course, that's always the case. If you go into tier 4 fractals with people that never did it before, then it will be something completely different than if you do it with a speedrun group. Yeah, that's always the case. Now we have to interact with some scepters that are coming there. Oh no, come on, spawn this. Oh, pieces, yeah. Are there any good resources to show all the skips or the glitches? So if you're really interested in that, we can actually... I can upload the speedrun. I have a speedrun not prepared, or I have done a speedrun with a while back with a group that did all the, not glitches, but all the, so to say, parts where you typically wouldn't do with a very inexperienced group. You just can skip a lot of bosses, skip a lot of stuff that is actually not meant to be skipped. So maybe it's a glitch, yeah. So you can do all of that. I have that in my video. So maybe we can just do that and I upload it at some point if you're interested in that. But there is no real guide, so to say. I think there is no one that actually did a complete guide about all the skips. Maybe Ben did it. That's a very known dungeon player. Maybe he has it on his YouTube channel. I can check later, but currently I don't know. I'm not sure. We need 2 more pieces. Hello. Exactly. I think it's okay. You don't... If you want to get players fast, you have to go for pugging and not go for really try-hard groups, because that's obviously not something that you encounter all the time. But, and that's the sad part here, but you have to accept that sometimes people in pugs don't know all the mechanics. Probably, actually, they don't know all the mechanics. Oh, come on. Why do I have to collect every single one of them? There's one more here. People. It might be the starting one, actually. I'm not sure. I think it's not here. Oh, come on. That's what I meant, you know. If we had 5 people that know what they were doing, then I didn't have to collect all of them and we would be way faster. Just position correctly. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is, you overestimate how much people are interested in those dungeons, sadly. Dungeons are really fun and also quite fast to do, but a lot of people just rather would do something that they know already, so they would go to fractals. That's the sad truth, you know. It's not like people would really say, okay, we engage in something new, because most of the time people would rather play something that they already know. That's and it's meant to be like really, yeah, very well in the reward. Yeah, dungeons are like, if you don't know what you're doing, just like Roaming Spirit pointed out, if you don't know what you're doing, it's very likely that you will not get a lot of gold per hour. Actually, quite a little amount, even with the how is it called, with the dungeon rush going on. Yeah. But I will definitely try to upload it the next 2 days. So you can definitely watch it because you're interested. Give it to him. Very nice. So I think this is the part where we go there. It's such a long time since I did my dungeons tour normally. It's actually crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Such a long time. But back in the old days, you know, so it was, I don't know, 2014 or something. I did a lot of dungeons. That was back in the old day. It was the only, or at least the best gold farm that there was in the game. It was uncontested, and it's still a very good gold farm. So don't get me wrong. But back in the old day, it was the only way actually to get a lot of gold. Back then, for example, you would do COF path 1 all the time, over and over. Yeah. 10 years ago, actually, at this point. It's actually crazy. Over 10 years ago, yeah. Such a long time. Yeah, it's actually insane. We just have to kill this guy. I mean, I could solo this guy, but my party is apparently not... they want to fight as well, I guess. Okay, now they engage, I guess. You see how fast the boss dies, even though we don't have a really good group. I'm top DPS with double the DPS than the second guy, even though I'm support. So if we had a good group, that would be so fast and so easy. But it's fine. We did it. Very good. And this gave you... I think I should have waited a bit, but it's fine. I think I got the achievement. Yeah, very good. So it's dungeons are really, I don't know, really interesting, but not a lot of people run it. That's the sad part. And it's for a reason, because it's very specific and it's not very typical for Guild Wars 2 players to actually enjoy, or the current Guild Wars 2 players to enjoy this amount of content. Because like I said, you have only 10% of the dungeon is real fighting. The rest is some kind of mechanics or skipping bosses or skipping mobs, doing really fast of, so to say, movement across layers, maybe across some different levels of the dungeon, going for specific paths that you need to take and that kind of stuff. And that's not very common in Guild Wars 2 nowadays to have that. Look at strike missions, which is somewhat recent development. It's very clear. It's just a boss. There is nothing before the boss. It's just a boss. Even raids have more of the dungeon feeling, but nowadays it's more very straightforward. And they're also very story heavy, like Gale points out. That's really the case. And if you are not really into that, or if you skipped all of that and are just going for the expansion story, you don't care about the dungeons. That's just the truth, yeah. Then the guy who was supposed to teach us quit on us because he said he didn't know anything. I don't know. Sounds interesting. I'm not really a story guy, so I can't tell you. Yeah, exactly, Roaming Spirit. That's the thing. A lot of people that join Guild Wars 2 now know the strike missions and know, okay, we have this boss encounter. But people that know this fractal dungeon style that we had before then, it was way more about this progression through some kind of instance and not only having a single boss that you kill and then you leave again. So you don't interact with the instance at all. Dungeons were the complete opposite. Sometimes you don't even fight a real boss. It's more like you fight your way through this encounter and try to explore it. If you look at Ara, so the last dungeon, you have so many ways, so many walls, so many hidden things that you have to interact with to actually progress, that a really inexperienced group that never did it before will probably take hours to complete all of those paths. Yeah, which is insane. Even though this content was released 13 years ago, it's still very hard for a lot of new players. Yeah, but that's not the real case anymore. If you have power creep in strike missions that were old, or in maybe even raid fights, they are just a boss. If you have power creep, they get very easy. Yeah, in dungeons that's not the case. You can kill the boss, yes, but then you will still need 1 hour to actually explore RR completely. Yeah, that's how it works, and that's crazy, and not a lot of Guild Wars 2 players actually value that. That's the problem. Yeah. I think both have their reason to exist. I'm completely, let's say, undecided. I don't care that there exist strike missions or that there exist dungeons. I don't care. I think both of them are fine. I just think going for one or the other will make it a little bit less interesting what players can choose. And I really hope that the new Fractal, for example, is a little bit more like a dungeon again, because that is something that the newest Fractals are also showing are some kind of strike missions. If you look at Lonely Tower, if you look at, what's the other one? Silent Surf. If you look at those, they are feeling way more like a 5-person strike mission than like a real dungeon or Fractal. Because you just fight the last boss, that's it. It's not really, I don't know, it's not really a really cool experience to go through this Fractal. It's more like you just encounter a boss as 5 people. Yeah, that's it. But it's just my take. Maybe people like it. I don't know. If there are more people liking it, then I guess that's okay. Then I have to follow that rule. But I think it's not the case. I think not a lot of people actually enjoyed Lonely Tower. Yes, there are some dungeon paths that are impossible to solo. That's true. Some of them you can solo even though they are not possible. So you can solo them because you know some kind of glitch to make it possible to solo. But some paths are impossible to solo. You just can't do it. I think, for example, all of the COE paths, so Crucible of Eternity, I think all of those you can't. And what else you can't solo? You can definitely solo Cordegus Manor, Ascalonian Catacombs, all of those you can solo. Let's check, let me check, what can you solo? Sorrow's Embrace you can solo, Citadel of Flame you can mostly solo, I think. Twilight Arbor, I mean the Aether Path, I think you can't solo the Aether Path, that's impossible because there are so many puzzles there. Honor of the Waves, I think you can solo Honor of the Waves. I think the only one that you can't solo is Ruined City of Ara, Path 1, I think, Path 1. And all of Crucible of Eternity. Yeah. I think all of those, yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah. But like I said, it's like, for example, Citadel of Flame Path 1, you can solo it if you know how to glitch or how to skip the puzzle. Because there is a puzzle, I don't know if you played this path, but there is some kind of wall that you have to open and you have to stand on 4 buttons to open this wall and the 5th person has to then engage with the mechanic. But of course, if you're only alone, you can't stand on 4 buttons at the same time. Oh, come on, guys. So that's something that you have to know how to skip that, and you can skip that, for example, if you just move really, really fast and teleport before this encounter really begins. So you use, for example, a thief or something that is really fast and just skip to the mechanic before the wall closes. Yeah, that's some kind of glitch or cheese or whatever you want to call it that makes it possible to do solo. But there are a lot of instances like that in dungeons where you have to do something really fast, really just a specific mechanic how to deal with it to actually be able to solo it. But I think that's interesting, you know, that's a way to actually engage with something that you normally wouldn't do, you know. I think that's cool. I like that. Yeah, no problem. See you, Arthur. But like I said, if you compare, for example, the really fast speedrunning community, when they do dungeons, there is almost every single player has some kind of skip to do to actually complete this dungeon really fast. They are not hard skips, don't get me wrong. You can do them and you can learn them quite fast, I would say. You just need someone that tells you how to do it because they are really, really saving you a lot of time. You just chain a lot of really strong skips together and then your party, for example, teleports to one another to skip to the next boss all the time or that kind of stuff. So that's how you deal with a lot of mechanics in dungeons. And that's why a lot, for example, thieves are really good for teleporting, moving fast. Scrappers are really good because of the super speed. And of course, because they have some nice damage as well. And I think you can use Mesmers if you want to optimize, because then you can run a lot of portals, because, you know, Mesmer has portal access, and you have access to this white mantle portal device, because that's very important for all dungeon running that you get from raids, so that you can portal your allies even if you're not a Mesmer or a thief. And Guardian is, I think the 3 top classes for dungeons are Guardian for DPS and just first really easy self-buffing, so you get might and quickness up, and then you go to a dragon hunter or something and burst the boss. Then you have a thief that is really nice for teleporting or stealthing, and then you have a scrapper that's really nice for stealthing, super speed, and a lot of damage. So that's the 3 top classes. So that doesn't mean you can't play the other classes, of course, but it's just those classes are just perfect in what they want to do. Yeah. But like I said, dungeons is very specific. It's not something that let's say 90% of the community actually engages with. Even if you do a dungeon once, that doesn't make you some kind of expert, you know? The people that I'm talking about, that do those dungeons, maybe, I don't know, they speedrun that every single week at least once or twice, and that makes them really expert, you know, in this kind of thing. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. No, you just pack it. It's the dungeons are so power crept right now. You can just join a group and you will be completely fine. You don't have to watch a guide for dungeons. That's not a problem. Yeah. Yes, you can actually skip the turtle unlock. I think there is a vendor there. You can just purchase the thing that you need. I think this kind of act that you get from the Kaineng strike mission. You can just skip that. Oh, come on, guys. Why can't they wait for the ready check? It's actually annoying me a lot. It's actually insane. Why can't people just wait until everyone is ready? It's just very bad manner. It's crazy. Yeah, you can just skip this strike mission if you don't want to do it. I think you can go to a vendor. I think it's probably in Arborstone. I have to double check, but you can just Google it. In the wiki should have access to that as well. Yeah. Yeah, you just have to do it once. Yeah, you have to do it once, I think, and then you get the egg. I think there is no lucky thing. You just have to do it, and you get it guaranteed. Yeah, I think that's how it works. But of course, if you don't want to do the strike mission, just do the skip. So just buy it from the vendor. I'm dying to the aura tick here. That's actually a little bit sad. Means my healer is not really doing the job. I mean, the whole party is actually dying. It's not good. I think we have to reset that. I think that's not gonna work out. I don't know. Looks. I have to solo this boss. I'm doing all the DPS alone. That's not good. Not a good sign. Yeah, it's true. I died to the jumping, but I was doing the F4 skill and I died after that. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, they introduced that you could buy it a while after they actually released the boss. So at the start of EOD, you actually had to do the boss. Yes, that's correct. Nah, I mean, come on. I'm not sure if that's really smart to try to kill this boss. Doesn't look like it's doable. They are dying left and right. If my firebrand dies, I'm losing my healer as well. And it's done. Yeah, bone skin are too hard. It's actually true. That's why I don't like to play DPS here, because I can't trust my supports. That's just the truth. Or at least I can't trust my party members. I don't know who I can't trust. Yeah, water is actually really weird. Water is a trade line that is designed in a way that gives you some kind of healing buffs and water cooldown reduction. So it's meant like a healing trade line. But at the same time, it's also giving you DPS buffs. So it's actually, it's a DPS trade line for that matter. Yeah, I mean, maybe we kill it. It's just not gold anymore. I don't know. It feels really bad to kill it with silver. Bone Skinner with silver. It's really bad. Yeah. Nice, we did it. Silver Bone Skinner in 2025. Insane. Good job, everyone. Only 5 people died to it. It's harder than Wing 8, confirmed. I don't want to be toxic, it's fine. Yeah, I think water is a really cool trade line by design, because you can take it if you need a little bit of more healing and almost don't lose any DPS. It's actually really cool. So, like Sky points out, that's how you do it, yeah. Yeah, I think that's really cool, Campy. That's really cool. If you are solo healing on Bone Skinner, you can show that you are a healer, you know, that you know what you're doing. Because I feel like a lot of people just press their buttons in Bone Skinner and don't really know that the healing can be done if you do it really nicely when you have a healer that is really good. For example, I'm not sure what you did, but probably you probably did it on Druid then, because Druid is probably the best one here. Or maybe Chronomancer, but I think that's the two that I would recommend to people to play healer here on Bone Skinner. Yeah. Oh, and Scrapper. Oh, yeah, Scrapper, true. Scrapper is better healing output. That's true, I forgot. Yeah. You don't need the crazy utility on this fight. Yeah, that's great. That's true. What are some beginner strikes you would recommend? Icebrute Saga 5 missions. So the ones that I currently do, you should do those. They are really, really good for that matter. It's really easy to get in. There are always people running them because they are daily kept. Just try those. So IBS 5, if that's in the LFG, just join. It's really good. You do those strike mission here in Eye of the North. So Voice of the Fallen, do the Bone Skinner, do the Whisper of Chormac, do the Frania of Chormac, I think it's called. All of those, they are really easy. And of course, Chivalry Pick Pass, yeah. And they are really worth it. They give you 15 gold or something when you complete them for every day. So 15 gold a day for typically 15 minutes. It's really good. It's a really good gold per hour if you think like that. Of course, it's only one thing that you can do per day, but still. Harvest Temple CM? I don't know. I think that's you need a group for that. You can't really try to pack that. I think that's one that would be probably one of the biggest gaming moments ever if you tried to pack those legendary challenge modes. I have to be honest. Yeah, exactly. I think I really have to do a guide about Healing Scrapper, how underrated it is. I think that's actually something that I really have to do and release on YouTube and really make a guide about it. I was just about releasing a guide about Heal Firebrand, because a lot of people think, oh, Heal Firebrand, that's the build that you should play. But it's not true. Heal Firebrand is actually one of the hardest healers to play perfectly, and I wanted to do a build guide about it. So the next up is probably Scrapper, you're right. I think Scrapper is really underrated, yeah. Yeah, that sounds really cool. I'm really interested in your Holosmith solo. That's really cool. I'm really excited to see that, yeah. As always, if you have any questions, don't be shy. Ask them. I try to answer them as fast and as good as I can. So the sad part here is I don't trust my supports. So that's why I always take as DPS the stab mantra. It's like a bad habit, but I feel like it's very often the case that my supports don't give me stability just before the final phase, and I get knocked and I lose my 3 seconds or something of DPS. It's horrible. People keep chasing what's new, and so they think that we already have is suddenly bad. Yeah, that's a big problem. In Guild Wars 2, I feel like I still play the game even though I did everything in the game at least once, I would say. And that's the crazy part, because I like to play the stuff that I already did. It's really cool, you know, it's really nice. I like the gameplay, but you don't always have to chase the new stuff that comes out and maybe not come out in the future. I don't know. I think Heal Scrapper is not a lot of people talk about it, and it's something that is not that new. So I think that's something that I could definitely. Where's my quickness? Can't stand in the boss. That's why I don't like to have a support firebrand that doesn't know how to position. You know, I can't stand in the boss because I will get knocked. So this guy had to move out a bit to actually get the quickness to me. That's really, Heal Firebrand is definitely it's a puck killer. You know, it really is. You have to know how to position to actually get the quickness. It's actually insane. Of course, I can stand here, but I will get knocked out of the boss. So it's not my place to be. So the Heal Firebrand should move a step back and it would be fine. But that's the only healer where this is really important. For example, Chronomancer, Heal Scrapper, Druid, all of those, you don't have to do that. So that's why it's such a weird playstyle mechanic. The only other healer where positioning and that kind of stuff matters a lot is also Spectre. But of course, not a lot of people play Heal Spectre, so that's fine. Yeah, it's true. Oh, nice. I don't know how I did that, but I did the stay on the ground. I like that. Is Heal Herald viable? I mean, it depends what you mean by viable. I would say it's a healer. You can play it. It does its job in 99% of the cases. Yes. Yeah. Yes, it's doing its job. Is it as broken as Chrono and as Scrapper and as Druid? No, it isn't, because you're not as flexible. That's the big downside of being a Herald, being a Revenant in general. You have your elite or your stances, or how it's called, the legends that you can summon, and that's it. You know, you can't change your utility skills. So you don't go for reflects because you don't have any. You can't go for, I don't know, more healing or less healing or more stability. It's really hard to actually adjust a lot of the build. So I would say you can play it. It's very high healing output, actually, passive healing. But, and that's the part where I would say it's important actually, it is not very flexible. So for example, in Fractals, I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't play it in really challenging fights, but in Iceblood Saga Strike missions, in maybe even some raids fights, it's completely fine. So I would say it's playable, but don't expect to be the hard carry that, for example, a Chronomancer, Scrapper, a Druid are in a lot of fights, or in most fights actually. So that's the important part here. So I didn't have stability, just like I expected, but it's fine. Yeah, yeah. Medkit 2 is like that, but it's not like your main thing. The thing that I on Firebrand think is, like a lot of people don't understand, is that 3 of your skills plus your tomes are actually like that. So you have 3 skills that are exactly like that, and your tome skills. So you have to position probably all the time in that kind of cone behind the allies. And that's just not what people do. It's just the sad truth. People just stand on the whole party and will not provide healing, not provide quickness. That's really annoying. That's why I don't like to have bad heal firebrands in the group. I'm sorry, but that sounds elitist, but it's the truth, you know. I would rather have a heal Chronomancer, or even I don't know, even something that is off meta. I don't care if it's providing quickness and heals. That's better than a heal firebrand that's not providing quickness. I think that's really important. Yeah. Yeah, glad you liked the settings video. I put a lot of effort into that one. Yeah, I mean, the Scepter buffs on Spectre are actually really crazy. I think Teal Spectre is already quite in a good spot, but the Blast Finisher on the Scepter 2 is actually insane. It makes this build really, really good. You have a lot of Blast Finishers then. It's actually crazy. You can easily get the Karakosa Relic proc. It's actually crazy. So, we have a question from YouTube. Do you have a video for a returning player on what achievements to do first? So, I don't have a video about achievements in, let's say, specific, but I have a video about what kind of masteries you should go for, because that's probably more important than achievements. So you would go for the masteries that I list in this video. I can link it to you. Give me a second. Because that's something that I would really recommend you if you're a returning player, to go for the very important masteries first, because the masteries give your account more value, and, or not more value, but more progress in the future. So you get more for your time then, which is obviously something that you want. Yeah, give me a second, I will link it. Here we go. I posted on YouTube. Yes, I'm from Germany. Sorry for my bad pronunciation. I try my best to hide it, or at least to make it not as severe, but it's just coming through. Yeah. Yeah, don't get me wrong. I really understand why people like to play Heal Firebrand. I think it's a very fitting design to Guardian. Yeah, it's like the true priest design, I would say, at least as a healer and stuff. But, and that's the problem here, is people that that play Firebrand, that doesn't mean that they will evolve at some point by themselves into a good Firebrand. A bad Firebrand will, if they don't get anyone that tells them how to improve, they will play Heal Firebrand exactly like that in a year's time as well. And that's the sad part, you know, because it's not clear to them that they're doing a mistake because, and that's the really crazy part, they have permanent quickness, they have all their healing because they themselves are affected by the stuff. So the important part is that only the allies don't get it. So if they don't have arc DPS, if no one tells them to, it's actually a problem. Yeah. But of course, I totally am fine with people that just started playing Firebrand and want to learn it. I think that's fine. But a lot of times, those people that are really, so to say, stuck to Firebrand, they just don't improve on it and play it all the time and think they are doing a really good job. That's the problem. Yeah. Yes, there is this one achievement where you get a free legendary, but it's not like a real achievement. It's more, yeah, it's a big combination of a lot of small achievements where you just have to, I can show you after this fight, where you can just complete, for example, a lot of different maps where you have to do some kind of quests, some kind of story missions again and all that kind of stuff, and then you get a free legendary amulet. Yeah, that's true, but that's the exception. That's the only achievement where I would say that's something that you really should go for at some point, because that's something that is definitely worthwhile, because a free legendary is obviously, it's very good. Yeah. And it takes, yeah, it's called Season of the Dragons, and it takes a while. Yeah, and some of the stuff is really annoying. It's like, I don't know, gather 15, I don't know, plants or something. It's really, really artificial. Yeah, it's called, what's it called? Dragons. Season of the Dragons. Is it this one? No, that's not this one. Where is it? Yeah, those return to achievements. So you have to do all those return to, for example, all those living world maps. So Drytop, return to, how's the other one called? Silver Waste. All of those maps you have to do the return to achievements. And some of those maps, for example, Drytop, is quite empty. There are not a lot of people actually playing it. So it can maybe take a while to actually get all of those achievements. But if you get them, you get a free legendary. So it's worthwhile. If you don't mind the grind, it takes a while. That much has to be said. Yeah. Exactly. Harvesting of the cactus. That was annoying me so much. It's really bad. But I guess what can you do? You know? If you want the free legendary, you have to do it. I mean, I did it after I already had the legendary amulet, so it's fine. Now I have two, but still. So now I can check. Season of the Dragons. There we go. It also gives 100 account points, so it's nice. Yeah. So now we don't have currently a commander tag for World vs. World, but if you want to join and you want to command in World vs. World, we are definitely open to do that as well. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can be, you're completely right. I mean, it's always like you start out somewhat with less confidence, with just less experience in all your speaking, in your pronunciation, and all that kind of stuff. So that's true, but it's also about just getting aware of your mistakes. I've listened to a lot of my videos again and listened to my mistakes and think, okay, this is too much. I have to redo some part of the video. I have to maybe redo the whole video. And if you do that consistently, you learn your mistakes and try to improve all the time because you don't want to do that all the time. So yes, you're completely right. It's obviously something that is just over time getting better. And I hope it continues like that so that in the future, it's maybe not even that noticeable anymore. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, casual, that's a problem. World versus world guilds are not very... It's quite hard actually to find world versus world guilds nowadays because it's really... You have to get into this alliance system because then you can get into the world versus world guilds consistently and you're always on the same server. If you are not, you will maybe end up on a really dead server and can't play world versus world in a circle maybe at all if there's no one playing currently. So... It's always a bit, hit or miss if you're a new player and don't have a guild. So if you're really world versus world interest, definitely get a guild. That's the biggest thing that you can get. But sorry, our community guild is currently not like that. Yeah, Conflux is definitely a big goal that you can go for. And I think it's definitely worthwhile as well because full legendary, currently you need Conflux. So to get full legendary, so it's definitely worth it. And I think it's also it's one of the less annoying ones. It takes a while just from the baseline amount of tickets and stuff that you need, but it's not really horrible achievements or stuff that you have to do. I think it's fine. So definitely if you enjoy World vs. World, it's a long-term goal that I would recommend you. Yeah. Of course you can join. Everyone can join that is behaving civilized. Everyone can join in the guild. So just write me in-game, write me a YouTube comment, whatever. Write me in chat right now. Everything is fine. Just let me know that you want to join. Whisper me in-game, whatever. And I will invite you. Yeah. Yeah, you can have 2 conflux. That's true. You don't have to get the PvE ring, which is from raiding. So you can actually circumvent all the raiding achievements that you need to do. But you have to go into World vs. World to actually get full legendary. So you have to get Conflux at least once to get full legendary. Yeah. Which is completely fine, you know. I feel like it's... to get full legendary, I feel like it's something that is very nice to have. It's a long-term goal. And I think it's completely okay to go in all 3 game modes, in my opinion. Yeah. Because the game is just like that. You know, they will include that in the future, that you get, for example, everything from PvE. I think that's their goal. But I feel like that's not, for me, it's not necessary. I think the game should be played in all game modes because then you have the most longevity. Of course, if you don't enjoy one game mode, don't play it. But it's okay to bind legendaries to it. I think that's my thing. Best way to level up fast. So I would say the best way is to get all the boosters. So you get an experience booster, you get a celebration booster and that kind of stuff. And then you can do meta events, you can do mob farming if you want to. So if you really try harding, you can go for some kind of mobs that you kill all the time over and over. I would say that's not something that you really need to do. Just do some kind of meta events that have a lot of mobs. So I think about like Tech Wattle and what kind of meta events are in core. Maybe even the how's it called? Or temples. Those have a lot of meta events that have a lot of mobs. You just do those and you get a lot of experience in the core tier. Or of course you can just do fractals. That's probably the way to go. I would say fractals give you also core mastery experience and you just get a lot of experience from doing fractals and you can do them over and over. So that's probably my recommended way if you like fractals, of course. Could also do dungeons, of course, but I guess it's easier to find people for fractals. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you don't need to have every single legendary from a single game mode. You can have some PvP ones, some World vs. World ones. I think that's a really cool mix and match system. I really like that. Fractals are good. Fractals are really good. Fractals give you experience, especially when you get a higher mastery level in Fractals. You get more stuff unlocked and more rewards, and those give you experience as well. So they are actually, I would say, very worthwhile, especially if you do them consistently. You also get a lot of gold, so it's just, you double dip a lot in the mechanics and the rewards there. So definitely worthwhile. Yeah. So if you want to join my in-game guild, you just write me in-game, write me on YouTube a comment, whatever you like. Just let me know your account name and then I will add you. Yeah. Yeah, I will invite you. Give me a second. Currently in the cutscene. So is the last, wait, I can actually see that. Yeah. So the last mastery in Fractals gives you the Mistlock Singularities, additional agony resistance, and some kind of one-shot mechanic, let's say prevention, and the Fractal Potion is a little bit better. So what does that mean? For the normal player, it doesn't give you more rewards, but it gives you more better access to faster fractal clears. So if you think like that, if you can consistently clear your fractals faster, you will get a better gold per hour and therefore get more rewards in the same amount of time. So you can think like that. For example, the pre-stacking that we always do like that is only possible because of the Mistlock Singularities. Yeah, because they instantly reset your skill recharge. So I can do the pre-stack and that's fine. But it's not like you have to get that. You know, it's not that important. Yeah. And yeah, no problem. So, but it's yeah, definitely it's for the people that really want to try hard. It's better, but it's not. I would say at some point you should get it because you just get more value from it. For example, more agony resistance, getting the fractal, let's say, downstate prevention ones. That helps. This, you know, that's just something that helps you get the clear easier, you know. And I feel like you have so little amount of masteries for the core mastery that it's actually, you will get that very fast. It's not like, for example, Heart of Thorns or even Path of Fire, where you have so many different mounts and masteries that you have to go through. It's not like that. You know, it's very easy. Legendary crafting you can completely skip. It's really, don't skip that. That's one of the worst masteries that you can get as a new player because it's very misleading. It's called legendary crafting, but you don't need it. You can go for a legendary without this mastery. You can buy it, you can craft it yourself even with that. You only need it for the Gen 2 legendaries, and you need it to craft the, what's it called? The precursor weapons, yeah. But you should not craft them anyway. They are so cheap right now and you can get them from the Wizard's Vault anyway. So really, really important, yeah. Yeah, like Roaming Spirit points out, I think the most important one is auto loot. I think that's the mastery that should be baseline in the game. Everyone should have that. But I feel like auto loot is something that makes the game so much more enjoyable. I probably, if auto loot wouldn't exist, I would not play PvE open world at all. I would probably, it would be too annoying for me to always press F. I think that's how far we actually got already. I think the auto loot is so important, so that's the first one that I would go for, always. Yeah, it's such a quality of life, it's insane. It's really, really important. Yeah, I would be with you. I think that's really annoying. We had actually, of course, we had to do it before the masteries existed, but back then it was the game was completely different, you know? The game was in a, for example, back then we used dungeons to farm gold. And in dungeons, you don't really kill enemies that drop loot. You typically get a chest at the end of all that stuff and you go to the next thing. So it's just one chest that you press F and you just remember there's a chest that you have to press F. But there were times where you skipped this chest because you were too lazy to go there or you forgot it. So that was annoying. But nowadays it's way better. You just get everything. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's really important to me to mention that just because we had it in the beginning, that we had to auto loot, that we didn't have the auto loot and we had to do it ourselves, doesn't mean it was good back then. Yeah. So we are just in a spot now where we should have been in the beginning as well, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, I think in Black Desert the pet system is just a cash grab where you have to get the pets and stuff to the fullest level to get all the loot as well, or to get it very fast at least. In Guild Wars 2 at least it's free, but in my opinion it's still not perfect because you have to get the mastery. In the beginning it's not that bad, but if you go to the late game and go not for the Pact Commander Mastery first, it's actually such a shame. You miss out on so much quality of life. It's crazy. Yeah, I think in the old school, let's say MMOs, it's very common that you have to pick up this stuff yourself. But I feel like nowadays it makes sense that you don't have to do it anymore because all of the MMOs that come out actually don't have that anymore, or have some kind of feature to actually enable auto loot, just because it's way more comfortable. You know, why would you do that any other way? Yeah, I think that's weird. I think this autopilot system, a lot of let's say Asian MMOs have that all the time. That's a weird thing. That I would agree with that. That's not something that is completely necessary. But the auto loot system is something that I definitely want to have in my game. I mean, would you play Guild Wars 2 PvE if you didn't have auto loot? I think my answer would be no. Maybe I would play Fractals because there is just a big end chest that's the important part. But everything else I would probably not enjoy because it's really annoying to press every time. I think that's really, really annoying. I don't know. What's the best way to effectively change targets in PvP? I often find myself missing when trying to click on someone, and when using tab it often selects the wrong one. So in World vs. World, in PvP, in small scale, in my opinion, you should use, at least I use either tab when I just want to swap to a different target because there are not that many targets around, or if there are really a lot of targets, then I just have to use the mouse. There is not a really good way in Guild Wars 2 to say I want to target this person that has the lowest health. That's not really possible. You can target the nearest enemy and you can jump to the next enemy. That's it. You can't really target a specific person that easily. You can of course target someone that your party member calls out, or that you yourself called out, but it's not really. When I jump to a different walk here or a different enemy here, I just use tab, you know, to go through the things, and that's not the best way. But if you know what you want to target, it's possible. You know, this one can help the target, or if you want, you can also use the the personal target on the boss as well. But for the most part, I would say it's just tap. I would tap, yeah. I think autopilot is nice, but it's not necessary in Guild Wars 2. In Guild Wars 2, you don't really run around for quests all the time. It's not really. Yeah. Tap target is weird. I would agree. It's not perfect to use it, but I feel like it works, at least for me in PvP, good enough. You know, I can do the stuff that I want to do. It works. Yeah. Could buy a pet to pick up your loot, so precursor auto loot. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. That's so fun. I think I killed this guy now. Yeah. The confusion burst is so good. 1v3. Nice. 2v3. Very good, very good. I mean, the NPC also helped, of course. Don't underestimate the supervisor. Yeah, it's so funny. I really enjoy it, Filthy. I'm so sorry when I laugh like that. But this skill is like the Elementalist killer. And that's such an ironic skill, you know? It's called Phantasmal Mage, you know? And you use it to kill Elementalists specifically. This skill, if it hits, it's very likely, especially if I use Continuum Shift to cast it twice with my Chronophantasm. I have 4 of those, and this is really likely that the Elementalist will get hit by 1 or 2 of those and they will die because of the confusion. The confusion kills elementalists like crazy. It's insane. Is PvP dead? It depends who you asked and what you define dead as, but I would say how you would define PvP is, for me, PvP, you can play it in a casual way, you can have fun, you can play PvP for just getting some kills, having fun, playing some matches. But if you want to go competitive, it's dead. There is one team on each server that is actually decent, but that's it. Nothing else is really active. Yeah, you can play some ranked and have some fun, but it's not really. It's always the same people that you encounter. If you are a low-rated player, you will very likely get sometimes players that are 2 leagues above you. That's just very common because the population is so low. It's very fun. I still play it every day, but it's not something I would recommend you to play Guild Wars for. It's not what is defining Guild Wars. You can have a lot of fun, but it's not the competitive game mode that you would expect. Yeah, that's the sad truth. My in-game name? That's my in-game name. So what I do with the stuff, with the inventory management, I can give you a short answer to that. So I use the copper fed, which is, so to say, the most basic salvaging for blue and white gear, and for green gear that doesn't have any upgrades in it. For green gear, I use the Runecrafter Salvage-O-Matic, and for, which is, so to say, the green salvage kit. And then I use the silver fed, which is the white or the mystic salvage kit for exotics or yellows. Yeah. And always open your pieces of unidentified gear before you salvage it. Never salvage it before. Either sell it directly on the TP or open it and then salvage it. It's really important. Big mistake if you open it. Don't open it. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's fine. You don't have to go to PvP. I think it's not for everyone. That much is for sure. PvP is not a game mode for everyone because there's, I would say, still decent amount of toxicity. That's just very common in PvP games. And it's just not very fun for all the people that are very sensitive to that kind of toxicity. I really enjoy it because it's very fast-paced. I have a lot of build crafting that I can do. And I'm not someone that is easily, I don't quit the game just because I lost the match. I want to get better. I want to improve. That's my mindset. But if you don't have that, maybe not for you. Yeah, I can see that. At the start of the season, I literally got matched against Zeus in the NA team while I'm gold 3. I mean, to be honest, if you're in gold 3, it's actually quite close. Zeus is somewhere in the same league as me, which is typically platinum 1 or something. So it's not too bad. Someone that is in bronze might get matched against Zeus, and that's the problem. Yeah. That's the problem, because this is then when I say, okay, why are we having so little people queuing at the same time that we have matches that are actually, there are differences in the matchmaking between, I don't know, 300 points, 400 points in the same match. That's too much from the rating. That's just too much. I would say PvP for me is very fun. I like it just because it's infinite. You can play a lot of PvP because you always have someone to fight, to improve against, and that's really nice. But I feel like the population issue makes even me as a really PvP enjoyer struggle sometimes. When you really queue up against the Platinum Duo queue and you are the only Platinum player in your team and you only have mechanists in your team, it's a lost match. That's just feeling not very good. Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah. Is it me or some place in the map are almost impossible to get to naturally? For example, I have no idea how to get to the bottom of all ruins or the giant part of Maguma Plains. I mean, if that's in the map, you should normally get to it. If it's not on the map, then you probably are referring to a specific area that is not on the map. I don't know what exactly you're talking about, but I think normally you should be able to go everywhere. What builds do you play in PvP? So I try to play every single class. Of course, it's really hard to play every single class on a high level, but I would say I play currently 3 classes, I would say, on platinum level, which is I play Guardian, so Willbender. I play Tempest, so support Tempest with staff, and I play Condition Reaper. Those 3 are my currently main classes that I play. It's not like I can't play the other classes, but I would say my skill level is not as high as on them. Yeah, I try to have different builds all the time. I try to learn different builds, and I played for years a lot of Mesmer. So that was my main class back in the, let's say, last 5 years or something. But I wanted to try new classes as well, and not always stick to some little part of the game. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing to spice up your Guild Wars 2 experiences, just to play a different variety of classes and have fun, especially in PvP, where you get a lot of easy access to different builds, different classes, because you don't have to grind the gear. Yeah. I mean, Guillem, if you want to get more access to the maps, you can, for example, get the pathing module on how's it called, on Blishhut, and you can then activate the pathing module, which lets you, it's obviously not really immersive, but you can get the map completion really, really fast then, which tells you where to go. And that's obviously something that is really, really easy to get access to then to the map, because you just follow the path that this pathing module shows you, and you will actually get all the points of interest, vistas, whatever you need. Everything will be covered by this pathing thing. But of course, that's something that you have to install. It's a third-party add-on, Blishhut, and it's a little bit, for a new player, I would say, it's definitely destroying the immersion. It's not something I would recommend in your first playthrough. Yeah. So let me fix my green screen. Now that the sun is slowly leaving. So there we go. Looks way better. I don't know. I think NA and EU, I think, to be honest, I think the people always think, oh, EU, NA, there is much of a difference. I have to be honest. I think NA has more hardcore players left, but I think EU is actually more alive in terms of how the matchmaking is. I think you actually have a higher amount of people that are queuing at the same time, and there are more people in gold. So I would actually not follow your statement. I would actually say if you are in gold 3 in NA, you're probably also like that in EU. I think it's very likely. I think it's just the population is too low, and they are both very low. I think it's not really the case that there's much of a difference anymore. And to be honest, if you are duo queuing and not solo queuing, and you are not in Platinum on any server, then you are not in Platinum. That's just the truth. Platinum should be easily accessible for someone that is very good at the game and can solo queue. If you are not achieving that, then you are not on Platinum in any server. That's just the truth. I would say gold is like, you are a decent player. If you're below gold, you are not bad, but you're not very good either. And Platinum is like where you say, okay, you are a PvP player. That doesn't mean you will win a monthly AT, but you will definitely know how to kite, how to deal with the mechanics, how to win one-on-ones, how to carry a match. Yeah. Now the sun is gone. That's why I actually can see myself with the green screen. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, of course you can use YouTube to find your way on the map. I think that's also fine, of course. But like I said, the Blish Hub can help a lot. Yeah. And the wiki is also helpful. I think the wiki of Guild Wars 2 is the best wiki in all games that I played so far. You can just type /wiki in the chat. So you can type /wiki, and then you can type whatever you want to know. For example, if you want to know how to get piles of incandescent dust, yeah, then you type that in the game /wiki pile of incandescent dust, and then it will open the wiki page. It's such a good feature. It's insane. It's the wiki itself is really good, and you can use it in the game already. So it's really, really good. So don't miss that. Yeah, always use it when you need help. Of course, you can also ask in map chat. People will always be happy to help, at least in PvE. So yeah. Yeah, I think if you play PvP and really go for rating, that's really bad. It feels so bad if you really go for rating, because it's so... The queue times are so long, and you just have sometimes no influence in a match whatsoever. Because, for example, I had a match yesterday where I got a queue after 5 minutes, queue pop after 5 minutes, and then I got 2 mechanists in my team. Yeah. And they were both going close the whole match and dying in a 1v2 all the time. Yeah? Come on. So, now we get the fight here, okay? Yeah, but now you're dead. Okay, it's a tough one-on-one, I have to be honest. Oh, come on, Daggerstorm as well. The NPC killed me here, actually. So sad. And of course, Mesmer is really bad against Thief. Thief and Mesmer is the hate thing. So sad. I wanted to have a fair one-on-one here, not having the NPCs with me. Because he spiked me out of stealth. Oh, that's annoying. I could have won that. I played it bad. Sad, sad, sad. But what I wanted to say is solo queuing and trying to go for rating is like, okay, you really want to suffer. It's not really, even if you do a queue, will have a hard time to carry matches, but solo queuing, sometimes it's just impossible. Just sad, yeah. Exactly, you can also link it. Very good, yeah. Very good point, yeah. You don't have to type it even, yeah, very good. I think the feature that you have the wiki in the game is very good, and it's even better when the wiki is also very good. You know, if you have a bad wiki, then it's not as good of a feature as if you would have, for example, like a very crazy good wiki like Guild Wars 2 has. Of course, that's way better than, yeah. Yeah, I got bonked. You're right, Filthy. You are so right. No, I think the thing is I have where is it? I think it's under competitive here. I have standard models on. So Filthy, that everyone looks like that. That's why I can see attacks and stuff easier. Yeah. So everyone looks like that. That's my intention here actually. So I can't judge on fashion if it's a good play or not. Yeah, I also have to be honest, I played a lot of other MMOs, but every time I play another MMO, I feel like, why am I playing it? Because the combat in Guild Wars 2 is so much better. Every single time I come back to Guild Wars 2 after a while, because I feel like it's so much more intense, so much more fluid, and so much more perfectly for me, you know, perfectly fitting. It's really hard. And then you have a very nice wiki, you have a somewhat nice community, depending on what kind of game you're playing, but I would say Guild Wars 2 has a very nice community as well. So I think Guild Wars 2 is very welcoming and very underrated for people to actually get into, yeah. Yeah, I can feel you, Campy. I think I tried BDO as well, but it's just not as good for me. Ooh, there are a lot of people here. Or is it just a Mesmer? No, it's at least 6 people or something. Maybe we can lure some of them away and get a nice, let's say, outnumbered situation that we can actually win here. Yeah, I think it's okay. Guild Wars 2 is not meant to, or you don't have to play Guild Wars 2 every single day to keep up with the gear grind, for example. So you can just quit for a month, 6 months, a year, whatever you want, and you come back and you still have your gear and can still play, enjoy the new content. I think that's the really cool part, and why almost no player actually leaves Guild Wars 2 forever, because you can always come back. You know, it's not like it's the game where you have to keep up all the time. No, not at all. You can play whenever you like it. So we have a Mesmer here. That's an easy target, I would say. But the NPCs again, the NPCs. The NPCs. There are so many of them. I think I have him here. Ooh. The unblockable shatters. No, it's fine. The NPCs. That was way too close to comfort, I have to be honest. Should have pulled them more away, but it's fine. I won. Yeah, that's it. I won the 1v2 and then I lost last stream against the invulnerable NPC. Yeah, that's true. That happened. It did happen. We should maybe probably clip that, because I killed 2 players in a 1v2 and then I lost against the invulnerable NPC. Yeah. Sad truth there. Yeah. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. I think maybe the New World would have been something for me, but I feel like it's not interesting to me anymore, because it's just a game that is not really living up to its combat anymore. That's the sad truth, you know. It has really good combat, but it's not as fleshed out as Guild Wars 2. It doesn't have as much content, and it's not, I don't know, it's not perfect in that sense. I think Guild Wars 2 is way better, even if the combat is slightly worse than New World, if you think like that, yeah. And BDO is very grindy, that's true. But it's like, if you enjoy grind, I think BDO can be worthwhile, but I don't like the pay-to-win aspect of BDO, which is definitely in there. And Guild Wars 2 doesn't have that, so that's a really big plus, yeah. Exactly, I think that it's really cool if you have something in Guild Wars 2 that you go for. For example, you say, okay, I want to go for the legendary relic for whatever reason. Then you grind for that and it costs you some gold. But if you come back after 2 years, you still have the legendary relic and you can get value from it. It's really, really cool. If you go in other MMOs, it's very typical that you have the gear that is very high end, maybe the best in slot gear that you get at the current time. You come back 2 years later and will be completely useless, or at least mostly useless. Yeah. So that's really a big selling point of Guild Wars 2, and I think not a lot of MMOs actually have that kind of progression system. Yeah, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest selling points for BDO is the just sheer amount of really interesting physics that they have. Let's put it like that. I think that's a big selling point, especially with the outfits and stuff. But I have to be honest, Guild Wars 2 has that to some extent as well. You know, they now introduced the fashion last year, I would say, with the bikini and stuff. It's the same, you know. Yeah. It's true. It's also very nice that Guild Wars 2 is very playable on a PC that is not that good. I think the only thing that you really need to have is at least some kind of processor that is actually working. Your CPU has to be a decent power level, because it's single core is important for Guild Wars 2. But it's also not, it's not like you have to have a really crazy PC. You can even run it on a laptop for the most part. It's really, really good in that regard. But I would say most of the MMOs that people play nowadays, so World of Warcraft, OSRS, those are actually not really high level of graphics and stuff that you need to play it. Yeah, I would say. I'm still playing a Reaper with 5-year-old gear. No need to change. Yeah, I mean, that's the cool part. I mean, Exotic is not the best gear anymore, but it's still very close to Ascended. I think 10% or something difference. Oh, we get a rematch. Oh, the Dagger Storm. I really hate this Steve gameplay because it's really annoying me. There's so many cleanses. It's actually, and he has the unblockables as well. It's actually the counter to my build, I have to be honest. I think I can't win this. I think I have one actually when my mage hits. Yep, there we go. It's an easy win. You lost against my... He lost against my counter. Easy. But he, you know, all my blocks are useless against the Sword Dagger Thief. And he has perma cleanse with the sword to go in and out. It's really annoying, but he still lost. I think Guild Wars 2's biggest skewing problem at the moment is how out of proportion the legendary relic prices are right now. It should be one of the cheapest legendary instead of literally the most expensive one to craft, with how integral relic swapping is to build craft. I would agree with one big exception, you know? I think it's really expensive. You could have gotten it for free if you had just crafted one rune before that, but it's too late now, so I guess that's a big problem, yes. But, and I think that's the big but, the relic is very useless. It's very nice for me to swap around relics, but you have to unlock the really crazy relics from Soto, from Chante Wilds. You have to unlock them first. So what's the point in a legendary one? Not really. You just get the exotic one. You know, there is no better relic than an exotic relic in that sense. So you just get the exotic one and you have everything. So in my opinion, it's not really that much of an issue. I think it's really expensive, but you should not get it if you don't like it. You know, it's just, I have it because I have purple in every hole, so to say, to get the meme, but it's not necessary. So I think it's very expensive. I agree. It's completely unnecessary. Yes, I agree. But then you don't have to get it. You know, it's not like, why would you get it? Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, maybe Soto is unlocked by default nowadays, or that's the last one that was unlocked. Or we have a... Oh, I need my refresh my food. 2 people. I need my food. Okay, I guess that's fine too. Focus the ref. The ref is such a good target here. 18 confusion. Let's see if I can win this 1v2. Should be doable. It's a hammer ref. That's a weird pick for sure. Okay, first one is down. No, he got the heal off again. Now it's a 1v3. Now it's slowly getting quite challenging, I have to be honest. But it's winnable. I got the spike, very good. The ref is dead. I tried to kite the others to me. The scrap, it's so unlucky that it's a scrapper, because they got the rest now. Don't have my... Unlucky. Could have won that. Open World Spellbreaker when? next week, I think I already have a build I want to show you next week. Yeah, I want to get the video ready. I think it's not even 7 days, so very soon. Yeah. I also think like they should reduce the price of the relic. I think I agree with that one, but I feel like it's so unnecessary that it's actually most of the people don't care. So it's a small fraction that I like you, that the people that care have either gotten it before with the rune, with one of the runes already for free, or people that don't have it right now don't care because it's so expensive. And I would say you are a very small minority, sadly, that actually wants to get it, but the money is too much to actually be really worthwhile to get it. So I feel like they should definitely change it. There will probably be some economy adjustments with the next legendary coming with the backpack, because maybe there will be some new drops, some new farms, whatever. Maybe they will change it, but I feel like the biggest change you could expect is with the next expansion, which will sadly be only in October. So there will be some time until then. Yeah. And the next patch is on April 15th. That's correct. It's a balance patch, and it's not really changing too much, I would say. It's just adjusting some overperforming stuff in World vs. World PvE, but it's not really butchering something, so you can play everything like before. It's not really changing a lot. Yeah. No, the point is not, I'm not saying, you completely misunderstood me here. I'm saying the relic, the legendary relic, is unnecessary. You can easily get the exotic one. Yeah. So let me show you. I will quickly check. I have to find it. But the relic itself is build defining, but the legendary one is completely unnecessary. You don't have to go for the legendary one. Why would you? The legendary one doesn't provide anything. Yeah. I show you what I meant. The new legendary backpack, we don't know. It will come out with the next update, with the next content update. And that one will have the legendary backpack. We don't know how it's looking. It will be using some kind of the old materials that we have. For example, those ones, shards of mistborn barons, those will be used and that kind of stuff. But we don't know how it looks yet. Yeah. So this relic chest, for example, I can get all the relics that I need from this relic chest. Or, for example, if I need survival, I can just select the exotic one. The exotic one will be completely fine to get, and I can get that 10 times if I want, for 10 different build templates for 10 different characters. There is no upgrade. It will not get a lower cooldown or more condi cleansed on this relic if I have the legendary one. So there is no need for the legendary one. And if I go to the vendor in World vs. World, you can get all the exotic stuff that you get from Soto Chancellor Wilds. You can just purchase it from the vendor. So it's not, why would you care for the legendaries? No one cares for the legendary and the exotic relic. There is no difference. So I feel like, yes, you're completely right. Relics change completely how your player build. That is correct, for the most part at least. But the legendary relic doesn't change anything. It's like completely unnecessary. Yeah. That's my thing here. Yeah, that's my point. I hope you got my argument now, because I feel like that's very objective, and I think it's not very biased to anything. So yeah, maybe I'm biased because I have so many exotic relics easily. I don't know, I can get them from everywhere, but I personally think a lot of people can get that. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy if they would have different stats and would be more broken than I don't know, than the normal relic. That would be insane. That would be then some kind of power creep, or some kind of, how is it called, gear progression that is unhealthy, I would say. But it's not. So you can just get it from the vendor here. I don't even know which one, because I have the legendary one. Is it that one? Yeah, here you can get it. So you can just purchase it for 100 of the badges of honor, which you should have a lot if you play World vs. World. And you get those jade tamorics or whatever you need there for. You can get them very easily as well. I have so many of them. So I think there should be no real big pain to get them. And I have probably way more of them laying around, because I have those chests. I have over 1,000 of them. So, okay, now you get it. That's good. Though I'd argue that since relics are soulbound, it becomes quite annoying to carry around a dozens of them per character. But yeah, also for people who don't have the relic chests, relics can be pretty pricey. I agree that it's annoying, but that's a legendary, you know? A legendary should be something that gives you more quality of life without increasing anything that you could normally get. So I think the legendary relic, for that matter, is completely fine. It changes how you play the game in a way that you just get more quality of life. I would agree, it's very expensive, but, you know, at the same time, you can say the permanent bank express is extremely crazy how much value you get from that, because it's very convenient to always open your bank, but it's also quite pricey. You know, how much does it cost? Almost 7k now. So yeah, it's very pricey, but if you want to get the, let's say, convenience, you have to buy it, you know? That's how it goes. So I feel like the argument saying it's a shit item because it's expensive is not really, for me, not really. I'm not in there, yeah? I feel like if you want the quality of life, you have to pay. That's what I did. That's what everyone else did for all the legendary stuff. So I think that's fine, yeah. But I totally get it. I think it should be cheaper because it's not that crazy. But I mean, that's not my let's say, I'm not the person to actually decide that. Yeah, ArenaNet has to do that. Some kind of economy manager should make that decision, not me. That's the truth. Yeah. So all the contracts are on sale right now in Blackline. How long till they make your money back? What kind of contracts are we talking about? Let me check. Those one. Oh, how long do they take? Typically years. I don't want to be negative here, but I think they take years to actually get them back. It's just the sad truth. Yeah. If you enjoy getting more stuff in your home instance or your homestead, that's what you can get, of course. But it's 800 gems. It's like 400 gold. To get 400 gold out of one of those packages by getting leather, silk, and stuff, that takes a while. You know, that's 10 silver or something, or 5 silver per day. It takes a long while. So just saying, you should not be in for the gold with that one. If you enjoy it, go for it, but you should not really say, okay, I need that for the gold. What's a good duelist build for PvP? Oh, that's a hard question. In Guild Wars 2, maybe Untamed is probably a good one. But the duelist's role in Guild Wars 2 right now is in PvP is like really the most flexible one. There are so many builds that you can play. You can play Warrior, you can play Druid, you can play Untamed. You can even play some kind of Harbinger build there. There are so many things that you can play on a side note, but there's nothing that is really, really good, that is completely broken and everything will fall to it. I would say it's Dagger Catalyst is still quite good, but it got nerfed. And it will actually get nerfed with the next balance patch, I think, as well. So it's not. Tempest is decent, but you know, I mean, there's so many builds that there is no real broken one. That's what I want to say. Yeah. There used to be a big package with a big discount. Yeah, I mean, that can also happen. Yeah. I mean, like I said, a lot of the Gemstore stuff. I made a Gemstore tier list a while ago, and it's still up to date. And I rate all of this and also mention how much it costs and how long it takes to actually get that stuff. And most of the stuff is not worth it. You know, it's just for if you like the aesthetics, if you like the fashion, if you like the, let's say, the gathering aspect of it, then you go for it. But it's not because of the gold. A lot of the stuff is not worth it. The only things that are really worth it to get for gold are upgrades like, for example, character slots are quite worthwhile. And what is also worthwhile, for the most part, Copper Fat is very worthwhile. Runecrafters is even better now, right now, because of the high Lucent mode prices. But there are different things that are worthwhile, and a lot of stuff in the gem store is paid. That's just the truth. That doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it, because if you enjoy the skin or stuff, you should go for it. But it's a lot of stuff is just for skins, and you should not go for it if you don't really need the skin. You know, it's not paying off in the long run. Thanks for the Prime 6 shots. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's crazy already too. I remember when we first started to play, they had a little portable bank that looked like, yeah, that you still can get it. I think that's you can still get the portable bank golem or something. I don't know how it's golem. No, I don't know how it's called, but you can still get this one. It's a complete bait for two weeks. You get a golem that you can summon. It's just really, really bad. I think you can't get it anymore. Maybe I don't know. No, I'm not completely sure where you can get it, but I think it's still in the game and it's absolutely unnecessary. It's really bad. This item is just so much better because you don't need 2 weeks only, you know, for that. You can have it whenever you want. It's crazy. Yeah. Hammer Cutter is also very good, I would say, but it's quite squishy. So it's a build where you really get punished for being out of position. For example, if you play some kind of tanky druid, if you play dagger catalyst for the most part as well, you are a little bit more tanky. On Hammer Catalyst, you trade a lot of those tanky stats or those tanky just overall utility skills and stuff for more damage. So if you want that, that's very good. But you can get punished if you get outnumbered very easily. But you can punish the outnumberer as well. It's very often the case that I get outnumbered on a Hammer Catalyst and I kill the guy that actually outnumbers me. For example, a Willbender comes and goes into 1-on-1 and really goes greedy and wants to kill me. Often they die because of that. It's really funny, but it's a build that is, you have to be aware of that. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For a new character, you got it for free, which made it a little bit better, but still, it's still not a very good item. Bank Golem. Yeah, that's a big thing, Malison. A lot of, especially in competitive modes, Elementalist is really squishy. But also in PvE, you have light armor, low health pool, that makes you very squishy. It doesn't matter which kind of build you play, you are always punished by this low health amount. Yeah. But if you play with the Earth trade line, if you play with a lot of protection, you can actually be quite tanky as well. So don't underestimate the value of boons and the traits. It's really, even the Elementalist can be quite tanky, but it's not something that is obviously, you know, it's not, you can make a warrior or a guardian, would say typically more tanky, at least easier. Yeah. I mean, it's fine. I think it's always something that I want to bring up when people say, I don't see how I can play that class. You don't have to play every class. If, for example, one class doesn't suit your playstyle, you just can't find it the way to make it work, or whatever reason. It doesn't matter why you don't like it, why it doesn't work. You don't have to play it. You know, there are 8 different classes that you could pick. So just play the class that you actually enjoy. Yeah. I have a guide for Hammer Catalyst, yes. I try to get that 101 and then I can send you the link. Is it a 101 or is it just an AFK person? Oh, come on. Yeah, I guess then I can send it directly. Give me a second. There we go. That's the Hammer Catalyst build guide. I've just posted it on YouTube. What is the best rune set for open world and some occasional fractals? Oh, that's a different. So for power, I would say it's Dragon Hunter rune. For Condi, it's Trapper rune, probably. Yeah, those two are really good in the terms of stats that they actually give you. But it's really build dependent, of course. You know, some builds want to get more power, some builds want to get more condition damage. It's not like, can I defend that? I can try at least. Why is it not getting the buff? Normally it gets the buff, doesn't it? Oh, it's a burn guard. Can I lift it? Barely. Oh, the unblockable burn. 2 burn guards against a build that has blocks that are unblockable. Dragon Hunter or Scholar. I think both of those runes are really good, and that's what I said, it's build dependent. So for example, on Necromancer you run Scholar often, but on Warrior, on Mesmer, I think Dragon Hunter is better. It's really weird. It depends on the power scaling of the class. So let me talk about a bit about it. So you get power, and a lot of skills have power scaling. So that means they get value that they do baseline at level 80, and then they get another value on top of that depending on the power. Yeah. So you get, for example, 2 times your power added on top to the damage of a skill. So that means if you have a skill like that, you want to get a lot of power. But then sometimes you get a skill that only has a 1.5 power scaling. So that power is not that worth it anymore. Then it's better to go into ferocity. So you want to get runes that give you more ferocity. So it's really very build dependent, and not only on the build, but also weapon dependent. Yeah. So that's the problem here. So I can't give you an answer like that's the best rune, that's the best thing to take. It's always on the build dependent. That's why I always mention it in my build guides. Use this rune, use that rune. So then you can actually understand, okay, now this makes sense or this doesn't make sense to run. Yeah. I mean, Bladezorn in PvE is actually quite decent. Don't underestimate Bladezorn in PvE. Bladezorn in PvE has high damage and decent utility, and I would say it's quite underrated, especially for fractals or something like that. It's really good in the damage department, but in PvP, world versus world, it's not good. In PvP you can to some extent make it work as a bunker, but in world versus world it's a complete joke. Yeah. So for power classes, so if you play Dragon Hunter, for example, in PvE, you would go Berserker typically. If you go for a Condi build, you would go Viper. But again, it's really hard because it's very build dependent. So for example, you can play a Condi Reaper, which is a Condi build, but you don't want to run Viper there, you want to run Grieving there. So it's really weird because you have to always take into consideration how does your build actually deal damage? Is it only power? Is it Condi as well? Is it some kind of hybrid? Whatever you want, you always have to take it into account how the build is actually working. And that's why I can't give you an answer and say always play Berserker. That's just not really, true. If you look at how many stats we have in the game, it would be really sad, if I could say, oh, Berserker is the only one that you should take. There are so many stats, just saying Berserker for power builds, Viper for Condi builds, and that's covering about 75 of the builds, 70% of the builds, but it's just not all of them. Yeah, that's the truth. And if you want to play tanky, then I would go probably with Marauder, or if you want to go healer, you would go with Harrier or Minstrel or Giver. Yeah, a lot of options there as well. Like I said, you should always check the corresponding build. So if you want to play heal Chronomancer, you should check what kind of gear you should run on your heal Chronomancer. And check that. It's not about one gear set that you run on everything. Typically on a healer you run Harrier, on a power DPS you run Berserker, and on a Condi DPS you run Viper. But that's, like I said, only in 70% of the cases, 75% of the cases true. Giver is really nice, but you will be the tank in raids because of your high toughness. Why does power DPS Chrono use Fireworks Relic, but Power Boon DPS use Claw Relic? Because the Boon DPS Chrono has a lot of CC in the kit, so it can consistently upkeep the CC, whereas a Power Chrono is actually not having that much CC in the kit. Or at least the rotation is not aligning perfectly. That's the problem. You have to adjust your rotation to make Claw Relic work. Fireworks is really easy to upkeep. That's the difference. If your rotation is already like that you do the stuns delayed, so to say, then you will be fine. But if you are somewhat, let's say, you're your rotation is not really clear, fleshed out in terms of the DPS that your Claw Relic would provide. So it's like, say, one burst and then you can't upkeep the Claw Relic buff anymore, then Firework is better. Yeah. I mean, Celestial is the best for a lot of tanky builds for new player. If you're not really good at the game, you want to just kill a lot of things, then it might be better to go for Celestial. But it's not like... It's just running away. It's not like Celestial is always the best. Celestial is a stat that's very helpful for new player because it provides so much value. You can clear most content with it, but it's not the best for most builds because it's giving you too many stats that you don't really want. That's the truth here. In open world, I do something similar to your warrior build. Sakiro's Relic. Yeah, Sakiro's Relic is really good. What is this guy playing? Look at that confusion burst. It's always so satisfying if you get 19 confusion on the enemy. I think I have him. Oh, come on. The Wicked Love. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just so satisfying if it lands, you know. It's all your build crafting going into this moment and then it works. It's very satisfying. Oh, come on. This guy's just running around and stealthing all the time. What is this? How much stealth uptime does this ranger have? I think we got him now. I double casted my elite or my phantasm, so to say, which is stronger than my elite. Nice, we got him. How do you know what class you are a good matchup against in PvP? So the first answer is the boring answer, experience. The second answer is you just understand what kind of meta builds are just currently really good, and you just know, for example, okay, there is a power untamed against me. They are quite weak against Condis, so it's a better matchup to take as a Condi Harbinger or something like that. It's more like understanding, but most of the time it's more experience. You just have to get more acknowledged and learn more about the game mode. That's just the truth. Of course, you can watch someone like me, like a very good PvP player like Boys or someone like that, Naru, stream, and just look at them play and they will tell you that as well, what is good. Or you can just experience it yourself. That's the two things that you can actually do. Is Sword Warriors mainly Condi or power? It's Condi. It's a Condi based build typically. And if you want to use Offhand Dagger as a Spellbreaker, then the current power Spellbreaker build for raiding is actually using Sword main hand with a Mace Offhand, I think. So that's pretty close to what you just mentioned, but playing Sword as a DPS weapon is not really typical on a power build. It's typically only played because of the 3 skill. Only the 3 skill is actually worthwhile. All the others are Condi based. Yeah, I would say every single build, every single class is capable of soloing open world on Celestial. That Celestial is just such a good... Oh my god, this guy is running away. He's so scared. So So Celestial is for a new player, I would always go for Celestial if you're an open world enjoyer, because it doesn't matter which kind of class you're playing, it's a very good build all the time. There are, of course, way better builds on Celestial and builds that are not as good. That's true, but all of them work. There is no class that is actually really bad on Celestial, just because Celestial is so broken. It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how much stealth this Ranger or Tamed with the Spear just had. It was actually crazy. I think in Fractal, Celestial is okay. I wouldn't recommend running Celestial in raids though, because in raids often tanks are toughness based. And if you run Celestial, you will probably be the tank because you have the highest toughness. So don't play Celestial in raids. Rather learn or swap to gear that is actually typical for that build. That's what I would recommend, because it's typically, if you know how to play in Guild Wars 2, Celestial is not on a lot of builds actually the most optimal choice. Because if you're in a group scenario, Celestial is providing a lot of stats that you don't really want. There are a few exceptions, Celestial Scourge, Celestial Firebrand, that work, but a lot of builds actually get more value from going full Condi, full healing, or full power DPS. That's just the truth. Yeah. Welcome, welcome. If I choose Spellbreaker, can I change elite specs, or I gotta create a new character? No, you can swap all the time. So if I'm playing Chronomancer, I can swap that whenever I want when I'm out of combat to Virtuoso or Mirage, if I have unlocked it. You can change whenever you want. Of course, it's only if you have the corresponding unlock and the character is currently not in combat or in PvP, you can swap during a match. But of course, that's just a fringe scenario. Otherwise, you can swap all the time. It's not like in Path of Exile or something where you select an ascension and you are locked into that forever. That's not true here. Which is obviously very nice, because then you need one character per class, and you will be fine. You can play every single build on everything. Yeah, everything. No, it doesn't change the weapon options anymore. That's the interesting part. You can nowadays, if you have Soto, for example, I play Shield on Chronomancer. I also play X on Chronomancer, even though X is a Mirage weapon. But with the Soto Elite, Soto expansion, you actually can play X as well on Chronomancer, for example. So it's not the case anymore. You don't have to swap your weapons anymore. Yeah, this is a relic of the past. Or if you don't have the expansion, of course. But Soto is actually, for that matter, probably a very worthwhile expansion to get, just because of that, because it's already providing you with some gameplay upgrades. And you also get access to, for example, Chronomancer Rival or something, which is obviously, or Mesmer Rival, which is obviously really, really good as well. I mean, X and Shield on Chrono just makes sense on a Condi build, of course. It also, X Shield is probably only competitive modes. You would never go with a Condi weapon and a shield on Chronomancer in PvE. That sounds way too much cooking. I think that's not gonna play out for the most part. But no, it's fine, Chris. I just wanted to mention that it's something new. You know, it's not something that was there in the beginning, but now it's there. So just wanted to mention that you can actually change that. Okay, so we have here, that's the Condi Guard again. That's a Scrapper. Power Scrapper with Rival. Okay. So I will try to stand in this attack because I can transfer the burning. It's a little bit greedy, but I know I can do that. No, come on. I can't win that. It's the sad part. I can't win that. They have too much Condi pressure. Nah, it's too much. Exactly, you just get it by completing 1 or 2 of the story missions in Soto and you get it unlocked. Yeah. Is the World vs. World Legendary Armor the easiest to craft? The short answer is Maybe, because it depends. If you play World versus World, it might be the easiest, yes, but it's the longest. It takes the longest to actually acquire because you need a lot of those tickets and you just are quite limited on how many you get per week. You can get it from the chests here, you can get it from defense events and that kind of stuff, but it's quite scarce. It's not really, how much you get is not that high, but it's very brain off. You can just play World versus World and you will get the legendary armor at some point. But the fastest way is PvP or raids. Probably raids if you can do all the raid bosses. And in open world PvE, it's very grindy, but it's also quite easy to get. It's just very grindy. You have to do a lot of open world stuff. Yeah. I mean, I grinded for all 3 of the legendary armors in World versus in PvE. And I got all 3 of the raid armors. I don't know why, I just have all of them. And I would say, in comparison, raids is way more fun, but it's also requiring you to be somewhat better at the game. Open world, you can just chill and watch Netflix meanwhile, and you will get it. But in the raid one, you have to at least be a little bit more active and you actually have to get the raids done. Yeah. I mean, Soto is, let's say, debatable if it's a great expansion, but the features that we got with Soto are actually quite good. We got the Wizard's Vault, we got the weapon proficiency, we got new weapons that are somewhat lackluster for the most part, but still. And we got the legendary open world armor. So I would say Soto is actually quite decent in terms of features. The story itself began quite okay, but it ended up quite bad, I would say. And we got very bad fractal, I would say. So I would say Soto overall is an expansion that is decent, but it could have been way better. That's just, if you compare it with Heart of Thorns or even EOD, End of Dragons, it's just not as good. But that's just my take, you know. Someone else might be completely different on that. Yeah. Exactly, if you just play open world or convergences and you get it quite fast as well. It's just quite grindy, especially if you want to go for this, how is it called? This Eternal Forge Master achievement, where you have to get those, how's it called, Omnitas, Skywatch Archipelago, those meta events thingies where you have to farm the meta events currency and stuff. That can be quite annoying, but if you only want to go for the legendary, it's actually not that bad. You just need a lot of essences. And of course I was going for all 3 armor sets, so it's actually obviously way harder. Yeah. I think the Cryptis stories, I would say I actually did not mind the storyline where it went. Don't get me wrong, I'm completely with you there, Andreas. But I think it was just too rushed, I feel like, you know. We had Epak was the big bad end boss, and then we had one encounter, and then we killed him. You know, that's just, it felt so weak, yeah. From the development, from the story development. That's why I don't like it. I think the story itself was okay. Yeah. I mean, the fishing, you don't have to do the fishing. You can just buy the stuff, especially nowadays with the PvP on World vs. World thing from Counter. This one gives you the ambergris as well, so you can just play World vs. World or PvP and you get it, or you can of course purchase it if you go for the ambergris. It's 2 gold around, you can just purchase it, you don't have to go for the fishing. Yeah. What's the easiest way to get a lot of tier 6 mats? So there are 2 ways, or 3. You can purchase them, but it's probably not the answer you wanted to get from the trading post. I can show you, you can convert your Eternal Ice Shards. So you can convert those into volatile magic, which is this one. And you can then buy from the Living World Season 4 vendors. So for example, Dragonfall vendor. You can purchase the bags and you can open those trophy bags and you will then get a gold out of it. I have that on my YouTube channel as well. Just Google for volatile magic. Yeah, that's probably the best way to get legendary or materials. Or you can just convert your laurels. So laurels can be converted into tier 6 mats as well. You get 1 laurel, gives you 3 tier 6 mats. Can be worthwhile if you don't have a way to spend laurels any other way. I would agree that the yearly expansion cycle doesn't lead to very big storytelling. It's just not possible having that small amount of time for one storyline. It's just feeling it has to be smaller. That's okay. That's how they decided to do it. It's just I think they changed it in the middle of the expansion. They said, "Oh, we have to go faster," and that made it feel a little bit rushed. That's just my impression. Yeah. Yeah, just that's the way. So I can say I have a video, like I said, I have a lot of videos about that kind of stuff, so I can send you the link to that as well. And there I show everything that I just mentioned. And that's the biggest way on how to make gold or how to make money with the tier 6 materials. So I can show you. Yeah, Chante Waltz is also very slow story paced. The bears speak very slowly. So if you go to Eye of the North, you can actually go to, where is it, this vendor here? The Karma vendor here. And you can just speak to this guy, for example. There are multiple vendors. And you then can convert with a little bit of Karma, the Eternal Ice Shards into Mistborn modes, for example. And then if you do that, you get Mistborn modes, and you can then consume them. You get some volatile magic. Then you have to go to the Dragonfall vendor. And then on Dragonfall, you can go to one of those vendors. I can show you again. And there you have to invest a little bit of volatile magic and gold to buy this. Is it trophy shipment here? These ones? Not those. Not wood, leather. The trophy ones you want. And then you purchase that. It costs 1 gold. Costs 250 volatile magic. I purchase 1, so 1 gold investment, and I get back these materials. If I sell all of them, I get back on average, that's like 3 silver, another 3 silver, that's 8 silver, so that's 14 silver, it's like 24 silver, that's already 150, and you can see it's actually way more profitable on 220, 230, something like that. And you get maybe 240, 230. So 2 gold, 30 back. So it costs 1 gold. You get 1.3 gold, I would say, on average value back. So it's actually worthwhile to do, but you have to have the volatile magic to do that. Yeah. How long would it take me to get a gift of battle if I roamed? Roaming and all this stuff is actually exactly the same. It just costs some time, depending on what kind of rank. And so you get more for being a higher world versus world rank. You get more pips. And I would say it takes at least 3 to 4 hours. If you are lower rank and don't have all the buffs, it takes longer. And I would say on average, with the buffs that you can get if you, for example, get defend events and stuff, I would say you should calculate 4 to 5 hours. Yeah, just roaming around, waiting a bit. And you can also get the potions, yes, but the potions are not that easy to get nowadays anymore. It's a little bit harder. I have some of them lying around. I think you can't really get them that easily anymore. I have almost 1,000 of them lying around. But you can also, for example, if you complete the chest, the gold chest, for example, gives you 5 instant reward track progress. If you go up to that, to the highest one, you even get 6, and you get it faster. So if you have a very high pip amount that you get also more reward track that you have to meet. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually true. You don't even have to leave the Eye of the North for death. It's just in my brain, you know, that's the original path that it always has to be. But you don't even have to do that. That's correct. Sure, sorry. And always forgot that. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the boosts, you can also get the boosts from the guild hall. I can show you as well. That's also very nice. There are a lot of boosts actually you can use. For example, enrichment gives you more mastery or reward track gain for world versus world. You can go to this guy and then select the world versus world reward track gain boost, and you get 10% more reward track gain. So there are a lot of ways to actually speed it up. You can use, for example, the festival gobbler gives you 25% more boost. The celebration booster gives you 10% more. So there are ways to speed that up, and then it's actually quite fast. Yeah. Exactly. What's a good build for World vs. World, Zerg, and solo play? I'm afraid of getting jumped by thieves. Oh, I get that question actually quite frequently, but Zerg play and roaming are so different. It's really hard to make a build that works in both. Maybe Scrapper, some kind of Celestial Scrapper or something like that, maybe. But it's really hard, you know. In Zerg play, you are trying to get a group that is helping you and you focus on either supporting your allies or dealing damage. In roaming, you want to have both of that combined in one build. So it's really hard to find a build that does work in roaming while it still fills a very specific role in a Zerg. It's very untypical to actually. So I would say there is no build that is actually doing that really, really good. Maybe Scrapper, but maybe Guardian can work to some extent. Maybe something like that, but I don't know. It's not really that good anymore. I have to be honest. Yeah. That's just my opinion on the matter, but I think that's how it is. Yeah. I think that's also the end of today's stream. I hope you enjoyed my stream. Be sure to check out my YouTube if you haven't already. Have a nice rest of the evening, and I hope to see you tomorrow. And thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for all the follows. Thanks for the sub. Really appreciate it. See you around.